Frequency Radio. Worries are often more worrisome than reliefs are relieving, but hopefully a bit of Tom Jones just lightened your day up. I hope so. I'm, I don't drink Greg's coffees anymore. I used to drink Greg's coffees every day. Now I'm more of a instant coffee guy. It saves me a lot of money. I don't know why I didn't do it beforehand. Potentially just there's always a certain level of apprehension I have towards concepts I've heard about but don't fully know what they are. And it might sound very retarded not to know what instant coffee is or was, but there you go. I mean, Greg's itself gave me quite a lot of interesting tales. Um, I used to go there pretty much every day. I'd get black coffee regular, obviously no milk or sugars. I like the essence of a thing, you know, a cigarette with just tobacco. I don't want flavors. I don't want mint. That's why I don't like vapes, or one of the reasons. And I like a black coffee. And then I also got very regularly, pretty much every time, chicken and bacon club baguette. Delicious, especially when you get the bread that's quite crispy. They've just made it. They've maybe put it in the oven a little bit too long, or however they heat it up. It's a bit crispy, delicious. But then sometimes you worry about your jawline, and then you go for the chewier option, so that your jaw can really get that munch exercise. And that's always good. Um, there was this crazy woman in Greg's. She always wore glasses. She was a bit mental. Just talked about stuff. She'd just say hello and go into a 5 minute rant about something. She was interesting. Last time I was in there was a bloke. I've seen him before, and he looks normal, fairly well dressed. Um, just always sits in the same corner, got a coffee, drinks it. And I do like looking at people, but I don't like people knowing I'm looking at them. So I turn to face the chicken bit, where the metal at the back is reflective. So I was looking at him basically directly, but through a mirror. He was just talking to himself, or to something, to some entity. I'm not sure. And he was laughing and expressing emotion and talking and blah de blah. Looked like he was having banter. Like it was crazy. And you never know these days because someone could have AirPods in. I'm pretty sure he didn't. He didn't in the one ear I could see anyway. The other ear I'm not so sure about, but that wasn't the vibe I got from him. The vibe I got from him was mental. Um, but, there were some great people in there. There was a Filipino woman. I went there with my friend once. Didn't know he spoke Filipino. Had no clue he spoke Filipino. He recognized her instantly as a Filipino and started speaking Tagalog to her. Sorry. And she's an interesting character. I think her daughter's in a band or something, and she was in a band before that, and they travelled all over the world, and now she works in a Greggs. So that's really life, isn't it? I suppose the psychedelic experience that is living on this planet. Um, and there was this taller bloke. He always talked to me about his track that he was making, and yet over months and months and months never sent it to me. Eventually he did. I still haven't listened to it. If it's good, it might come up on this broadcast, maybe in a few segments. Well, yeah, I'll give it a listen during the break, and I'll let you know how that goes. Um, I'm not holding out much hope, but slightly encouraging is that he's a Doom fan, original Doom, 1993, and what a great game. The grandfather to all FPSs we know and love. Obviously, Wolfenstein came first, but Wolfenstein is little more than an arcade game, really. It's quite hard to be invested in. Graphically, and I'm not someone who really goes for graphics. I don't really care that much about graphics as long as the game is well played, or well playable. But it's very bare bones, very bare bones. I mean, all the floors and ceilings are grey, all the walls are grey. Occasionally, get a blue door. I mean, that's yeah, not as fun as Doom. Definitely not as fun. Only a year before, but you can really tell the progress they made within that year. Um, so apparently he's really into that sort of stuff, and his song is. I think the idea is it could be fitted into the Doom soundtrack. I don't know. If it's not, I'm going to be annoyed because I like Doom music. It's always quite a jam. There were there were two hot girls in there. One of them was called Ella, I think, and the other one, who cares? Stephanie. Let's call her Stephanie. Let's call her Stephanie. It's a name that fits her better than whatever her actual name is. The first one, Ella, I had such a crush on her. Oh, well, I had a crush on both of them to be honest, but I had a crush on Ella. And then one time I went into Greg's, and I'm a fairly social person. I'm conversational, especially if there's someone who I find interesting and want to know more about. I don't mind um, broaching that space or whatever. So I was chatting to, well, yeah, I chatted to her quite regularly. And then one time, it was before I asked her out, there was this 50-year-old, even older bloke in there, quite tall, fat, and he was making her laugh and giggle and smile and bloody blah. And he had more charisma than me, and it was heartbreaking to be honest. Didn't stop me. Turns out she had a boyfriend. Not sure if it's the same bloke as that old guy. He might be a dad for all I know. I don't know. He's in there fairly regularly. And then the other one, Stephanie, she she said yes, and then I tried to organize something. Yeah, when I asked her out, I mean, I tried to organize something, and eventually she just well, she left, and never replied. And I saw her a few times. She said, "Yeah, we should do this, we should do that," and then yeah, nothing happened. And then she left her job. So that was good. That's two for two on women leaving their jobs for me at this point because there was a woman at Tesco one time as well. I got really drunk with some friends. I think it was a birthday or just not a birthday, and I was getting really drunk. But yeah, I that was a cunt move. I can't lie because I went to the the counter and said, "You're beautiful. You're beautiful." And she said, "Oh, thank you." And I said, "How about a discount on some cigarettes?" And yeah, she didn't take too kindly to that, to be honest. And then I never saw her again either. So public enemy number one. Um, that's yeah. So that's two for two. Um, what other women have lacked my interest? Lacked any mutual interest? Oh God, I don't think I'd said anything about this Turkish girl before. I fell in love with her, man. That was crazy. It was a real limerence, a real kind of infatuation with the person I thought she was. Turns out, massive whore. Bit unfortunate. Probably the person, not necessarily just woman, probably the person who I've gotten on with the best in my life. And I think that's it really speaks to the male experience because what a man really wants, and it's an impossibility, it really is an impossibility when you factor in all the different expectations and desires, but what a man really wants, he wants a woman who he finds attractive, who finds him attractive, and that leads to whatever that leads to, but also someone who's kind of like a buddy, you know what I mean? Like someone who you can banter with and they can make fun of you, you can make fun of them, you can kind of prank each other a little bit, you can chat shit, you just have fun, maybe like wrestle a little bit. So, just a bit of boyish kind of behavior, a bit blokey in a way. Cause that's what men like. They like that in their friends, but you know, in a girlfriend, it's not necessarily a good indicator of her character. I'm not saying never. There are some tomboys who are they're just that, but it doesn't speak to their sexual proclivities. But this girl in particular, oh my god, she was she was a slut, I can't lie. And that didn't end too well. That didn't end too well. We saw each other for about a month. Um, and bear in mind, I'd met her. It was weird because I'd lost my virginity like 3 days before I first met her, and that wasn't when I lost it. That wasn't like a one night stand. That was we'd met up maybe 3 or 4 times, and then the last time she knew I was going away. I knew I was going away. I We both knew there was a limit, and we made passionate love, and it was amazing. It was brilliant. It was brilliant. The problem was with 3 days later, I'm in a new city. I meet this one girl. She's Turkish. I like a foreign accent, you know, um, and I like attractive women. So it all worked really well. And as I said, personality-wise, very, very open, very easy, very relaxed. Just you can just joke and have fun. And whatever it was about our two personalities, they just melded. They meshed in such a way that was really. The point is yeah, maybe you don't want that because we saw each other for about a month, and I think the problem was all the feelings which I'd had for the previous girl got transferred to her. Of course, she didn't know of the previous things I was doing. Um, she just met me and had no expectations. I had already subconsciously put all those expectations on the first to the second, and that wasn't great, to be honest, because I just got too obsessed, and she knew that. And then after about a month of not seeing each other, started seeing each other again. My fault. Um, and I was like, yeah, I want to be exclusive. I want to be Like, I like you. Like all this stuff. We get on so well. And she was like, yeah, yeah, you're right. Like we get on better than I get on better with you than I get on with anyone. And our I never don't feel our personalities. I haven't felt anyone's personality be as more in line with than yours, and all this stuff, which I'm not sure how much she meant it. Sometimes I wonder if she's just a player who says the right stuff to the right people, you know? Because that's also a skill, and it's one I'm trying to cultivate myself, is that there's being a genuine self, and maybe she was. I don't have any reason to disbelieve her. She seemed like a very honest person, a very emotionally available person, and a very, kind person in my experience. So I have no reason to believe she was lying, but there's always that niggling doubt, and you can deal with those doubts, but not always successfully. So that blew up, and then a few months later, see her again randomly. It's a Tesco. Um, Start chatting again, and we don't really start seeing each other. We more like remain friends, but I was still trying to, and yeah, it just went. It blew up. Um, I saw her outside this Tesco, actually, a few months, like a month or two after that. After I first saw her, I was walking that same way. See her outside Tesco, and bear in mind, this Tesco is the only supermarket that's actually close to where she lives. Or where she lived. I don't know what she's up to now, but it's the only one. The only one. Um, and she comes out of that Tesco with a Tesco guy. With a Tesco guy. A guy in Tesco uniform, which might be the least attractive uniform. I mean, I've got to be real. The Greggs uniform, beautiful. Great uniform. Very well fitting. The Tesco uniform, blue and red, in such bright contrast. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. But that notwithstanding, the fact is, you're screwing someone from the only supermarket within a 5-minute walk of you. Terrible idea. Terrible idea. What if it blows up? What if that guy was me, who is completely emotionally unstable? That would be awful. I don't think he was. He seemed like someone who was actually fairly well put together. But then I can't tell that because I didn't talk to him or look at him or whatever. I just saw her leaning into him and saying funny things, clearly, and maybe a little peck or whatever. I didn't stay for long. That infuriated me. I walked back angry to my place, and I blocked her on everything but one thing. She called me on that one thing. Um, and yeah, I laid into it, and it was not nice. It was not pleasant. It was not kind. Um, I said the cuntiest things actually. I did like a pseudo therapist thing where I said, yeah, you need to. I feel like you seek validation from men and their attention towards you sexually speaking, and I think you really need to learn to love and accept yourself and all this bollocks. I talk so much shit. And then yeah, I ended it with even your profile picture on WhatsApp is kind of slutty. And that was the worst thing I said. I didn't call her a slut, but I said her profile picture was slutty, and um, I wasn't lying. It was. I mean, just cleavage out, fucking put your dick in my face. You know what I mean? Um, just yeah. So that was the last time I saw her. I'm pretty sure. Um, well, I seen her out and about, but that was the last time I spoke to her, and that wasn't good. It took me a while to recover from that one because I made every mistake in the book. Every mistake in the book. Um, and yeah, it's so trying. It really is so trying. I don't know if it's this generation, but trying to be emotionally honest and upfront is something that's both encouraged and looked down upon. It's encouraged socially, but actually, individually speaking, most people don't like it. Or at least women, they don't like it when you're completely upfront with your intentions, regardless of what those are. For whatever reason, I'm not sure. I like eliminating confusion, but yeah, I suppose it's what I talked about, in the last segment or two segments ago, where about the French guy. Um, but yeah, regardless. I mean, if you ask me, I think there's two types of slut. Basically, there's the physical slut and the mental slut. Okay, so what's the difference? The difference is the prior category. They just like dick. They just like dick. Really, is what it is. Like they enjoy the feeling of it. Um, it feels nice. It's pleasurable. They just like that. Okay, and that's one thing. That's accept. They're both acceptable. But the second one is more of a desire to fill a void. I feel whether that void is attention or love or whatever. There's a void. There's a void, or it's some sort of male validation or social validation as a whole. I'm not sure, but that's a more disturbing, I would say, or off-putting type of person. Someone, because the thing is, if you got good dick, you can probably make a physical slut happy. She just likes taking dick, you know what I mean? And maybe in a relationship context, that can work a lot better. The problem is with the latter variety is unless they go to therapy and really seek out why they do the things they do, they're always going to try and fill that void. It's something from childhood, I think. It's like a developmental thing that's very hard to really fix. And so, all my best wishes go out to all these people, but I don't know. It's all it's all a big one, isn't it? It's all a big one. Um, so we got Penny Lane coming up next. Beatles. Hope you enjoy this. It's a beautiful summer's day. And if you don't want a bit of Beatles, then I suggest you go tune into fucking Capital or some bullshit. You're listening to 113.8 LNC Radio.
Penny Lane, there is a barber showing photographs.